Hey everyone, this is Tappers here again, and welcome back to Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. When we last left off, we were getting ready to start level 3, Butter Building, also known as the final destination. Why is that? Because Kirby died to Poppy Bros Sr., and it was a square platform, therefore its final destination. And the better final destination, and not the crappy movie series that I hate so much. But I should stop right there because we have some pretty memorable and catchy music, which is the Butter Building theme, which has had some remixes, kind of like a lot of the other tracks, like Green Greens and Red Canyon, which actually we will be hearing, except not as Red Canyon, but as something else. I never mentioned this mini-boss before, but this is, shoot, I already forgot his name. Oh yeah, it's Mr. TikTok. Now, we got his mic power up before, and once again, we got the mic power up, as we're just going to shout and explode the eardrums of all the enemies, like the Bronto Bird, and the Hotheads, and the, Scarfies, or, actually, there weren't Scarfies, but there were. But here's something that this game introduces, and probably Adventure as well: hidden switches. Now, they start appearing after World 2, and one thing to note is that they're not in every stage from here on out, but as the game progresses, and speaking of progression, we are number 1, and UFO Kirby is there to tell us that, and just drops us with the 1-up. So, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we're gonna head into the arena and fight Grand Wheelie, the revenge version. Now, you may or may not have noticed, but the mini-bosses get much more aggressive in the arenas, and actually, this will be key because later on we will be seeing that a lot. Okay, anyway, I was mentioning, about secrets. So, not all the stages from here on out have them, but certain ones will have, like, certain number. Not all of them are hard, but eventually there are some really cryptic ones that require stuff and can really test your patience. Now, I do like this game, but there are some things that do bother me about it. I don't think that was very good grammar, but it's whatever. One of the things, I don't know, I think it's probably coming up, at least this is something I've heard, but I don't know much about it. Let's see if we enter this door. Actually, no, it isn't. Well, actually, it kind of is. The game has a tendency, as the game goes on, to get really difficult down the stretch. Like, enemies can just suddenly drop. I mean, Stonies do that because they actually function like a rock and something it's supposed to. Also, odd thing, we're fighting the same mini-boss again, but this time an easier version, which is kind of jarring considering we just did the arena, but it's whatever. It's also kind of interesting to see that this almost looks like a half pipe when you have Grand Wheelie in here, but we get to slide down it. We get to take its power for a spin. Get it? Because it's a wheel and it's spin. No, I'm not funny. I'll shut up. But it's kind of cool to have a power up like this because it gives you kind of maybe a tutorial where you can actually go through the Gordos and you can just go right through like an obstacle course. Also, speaking of abilities, that is Pengi, I think? Not Pengu. It's not Master Pengu, but he gives the ice power up, which I tried to grab, but I couldn't because I guess he moved. But now we have another new mid-boss. This is Bugsy, and I wouldn't say he's a staple, but he does appear in some popular games later on, and he can just suplex pile drive you because, well, he's the Undertaker, don't you know? Except he isn't the Undertaker because he doesn't have a WrestleMania unbeaten record, or I don't even know if that's a thing anymore because I haven't watched wrestling in over 10 years. But by defeating him, we can actually get a really unique power-up called Backdrop. If you hit the attack button, you'll rush at a foe in a straight line and then by hitting the directional pad, you can throw them in different ways. Like you can throw them diagonally down, you can pile drive them into other enemies, you can move upwards, but it's got some movement tech, I guess you could say. But it's sort of unique, and it becomes different names as the series goes on. I won't go over them right now, but it's okay for what it is, but I still prefer some of the other abilities. Because, yeah, I mean, Sword's pretty good. I don't necessarily go out of my way to use it, but... Interesting thing to note about abilities is that the series, as it goes on, they'll add things or they'll change things up, and you get more attack options. So there is that. Now, right there, that tower, we had to defeat a flamer in order for the fog to disappear and for the door to appear. Now, I guess from what I've heard is that in Venture, it's supposed to, the tower's supposed to spiral or something, or animate in a way. And yeah, that's the end of that substage. It went really fast for some odd reason. But I guess this is kind of where there's some downgrades to the game, because I guess there's some animations that the NES had with backgrounds, which I'm assuming is... Oh yeah, and you can just touch the enemies without taking damage. That would be really something. Kirby dies in a museum. But it's whatever. As we spiral Heaven's Tower and go off into the distance, except it's just the top mid-floor or whatever. And hey, guess what? It's Meta Knight. And instead of the freeze power, we now have the ice power, which, honestly, it's kind of more unwieldy because, well... Actually, I'm kind of talking on my ass right there because I actually did alright, but I think it's just more of a case of I can't platform with the dam, and this is kind of where I start to have some trouble because apparently I couldn't even touch the Masher, or Mace Knight in this case, and apparently he didn't die, except he died after I had invincibility frames, which is kind of stupid, but... yeah, you want to have an ability for these parts because using the, what's it called, the air pellets is not very good. Also, like any traditional Kirby game, you get the alert noise, and that is my first death. Halfway through butter building, and, I just ran into a Gordo. And again, with more feeling now, except, well, there is feeling because I am not dead, and I'm actually alive because I have 8 lives. Honestly, the game gives you a lot of them, and it's, I guess, considered pretty easy, but at the same time, the game still frustrates me. We'll get into that in a little bit. As we go into another new minigame called Quick Draw. Now, this game operates where you have to have a duel and a good trigger finger. Don't false start or it's mini-game over, as we face a wheelie with a bandana. Also, Chef Kawasaki, who we've never seen before, and we will see him as a mid-boss in later games. And hey, suddenly King Deity. He must be the final boss. So we're going to kick his... Oh, well, we failed. Spoilers, he's not actually the last character you fight in Quick Draw. The last one's actually Meta Knight, which we may or may not see. I mean, I could tell you, but I don't feel like spoiling. But, we get the invisibility candy power up, and unfortunately, this is kind of where I start to have a little bit of a problem with it, because instead of going horizontal, we go vertical with it. I wouldn't mind vertical platforming, but with the power up, it just seems really wasted. Fortunately, this mini-boss, however, eventually becomes a staple, Bonkers. For the longest time, I thought he was a charging Chuck or something, but he's actually a gorilla, so therefore he's No, he's not. Or monkey, no. I'm gonna stop with the memes, because I've already brought up Angry Kirby, but I don't need to bring him up. But yeah, he's a gorilla, he throws coconuts, he hits you with his hammer. I never mentioned hammer much, but as much as I like the ability, I don't like it in this game because if you stay still and try to hit with the hammer, it just feels kind of clunky and laggy, which I think is something that this remake changed from Adventure, because some of the abilities now have a cooldown time and it can cause you to get hit. Like, it's better to jump and hit instead of trying to do other things. Standing still, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, that's kind of a room where you have a Gordo kind of chasing you and all that. I never mentioned those cannon enemies. They're Shatzos. They're completely indestructible unless you hit or you take out a block that sends them to a pit. Also, this I'm assuming is another case where it's supposed to be a spiraling tower and then eventually the door appears. Instead, it's just the mist disappears and then, yeah. Also, this is the second level in Better Building that has a secret door. Kind of easy to find, but then there's also this part which you have to kind of hurry and get through, otherwise you have to redo the part. And by redo the part, I mean just go back the way you came from and enter again, try again. Fortunately, it's not too punishing with the secrets as far as trying to get down, but speaking of, well, okay, I'm not going to say secrets, but you also hear the weird force music because I guess they wanted to have some variety and have it because it's pretty cool. This is the light ability. As you saw from the description, the pause menu, it can only be used once, and it's used to light up rooms. And that's it. That's literally the only thing it does. Pretty useful power, but the enemies kind of look cool. I don't actually remember their name, but they're not relevant enough. So, there's that. I don't know what I was trying to do. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was trying to get a mix and see what power I get, and I got the stone, which is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, don't really need it. Not really sure how I got hit. And Mr. High Jumper, Thor, just caught me by surprise again. As we see the Scarfies, which I don't think I mentioned them, but I don't think I've mentioned when they were on screen. But don't try to suck them in, otherwise they get really ugly and not cuddly at all, and then they can also explode, which is very annoying. But I don't think they explode in this game unless they're left sitting around for a long time, but that's besides the point. We also, oh yeah, this is Kirby's Air Grind again, and this time I actually beat Yellow, my rival, because Yellow is the alternate Kirby in most cases, like in Smash Brothers. But yeah, I beat him by about a second, and we get 3 lives because we are successful for once. But now we finally get to Butter Building's boss, which is not on top of a building, which is kind of odd. Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. Mr. Shine is, oh yeah, and if you want proof of concept, I am playing this on the Wii U because pausing didn't exactly save me, because I'm using a classic controller while fighting them, and well, that kind of happened. So Mr. Shine is, well, the sun, Mr. Bright is, well, the moon, and these guys you saw in Kirby's Dreamland 2, but in this game, holy crap, these guys are huge. They're animated, which I guess is nice. I mean, maybe the fire is kind of odd, and I'm not going to say epileptic, but you can also tell that there's a bit of a tell to their attacks, and also kind of I do like the sound effect of the meteor shower, or I'm sorry, the sunstorm, the shoo. That's actually pretty cool, and my headset keeps coming out. This headset is gonna be ripped very soon, along with, well, Mr. Bright, as we're getting very low on health, and I don't want to touch the stuff, but fortunately, even though I got hit by his scorching flames, the two collide in a fury and they're dead. Next time, we will be going to level 4 Grape Garden. So this has been Tapras, I'll see you again next time.